Welcome to Module 6, which is on energy conservation in buildings. So, the course outcomes is to analyze the data collected during performance evaluation and recommend energy saving measures in building. So, module number 5 and module number 6 is based on CO5. So, module 5 is based on energy performance assessment, which includes case studies on speed drives, motors, HVAC system, lighting system, then financial analysis of this. And module 6 consists of energy conservation in buildings. So today we are going to discuss about what is the meaning of energy conservation building codes, what you mean by in that, what you mean by green building, what do you mean by LEED rating, and application of non-conventional and renewable energy sources. So today we are going to cover up to LEED rating. So what is building, by the way, energy conservation in buildings? So I would like to know what is your understanding about buildings. What can be called as a building? Anybody can answer?
Any structure, sir. Any structure can be called as building.
Okay, okay. Any structure can be called as a building. So a hut can be called as a building.
Man-made, sir.
Man-made hut made by straws can be called as building.
No.
Any
So
structure
that,
with multiple
yeah.
stories should be called as building.
Sorry.
Any structure having multiple stories can be called as building. Multiple floors.
Okay. So a stadium, outdoor stadium is there, auditorium kind of, which do not have floors but only sitting arrangement like steps, can be called as building.
So, sir, basically any structure which requires energy.
Yes,
Means
correct. Now you got the point. Any structure or any component which is meant for some commercial purpose or some residential purpose, which is energy intensive, will be called as a building. And building envelope means all the doors, walls, and so we will you will come to know when we talk about this definition of what is mean by building. Okay. So before we start with the definition of building, I would like to start with introduction. So there are several different uses of energy in buildings. Okay. At this point of time, you understand that you don't know what is building, right? But there are several different uses of energy in buildings. The major uses are for lighting, heating, cooling, power delivery to equipments and appliances, domestic water. So all these things or features come under building. The amount that each contributes to the total energy use varies according to climate, type of building, number of working hours, and time of year. Okay, so energy use for air conditioning has the largest share at a national level. That means if you take a consideration of our country, India, our air conditioning load is the largest in a building. Okay, in areas where there is severe winter occur, heating load will be greater than cooling load in terms of total energy use. So now you are conversant with what you mean by total energy use. Okay, so total energy use has to be converted down to a single unit of energy, which can be ton of oil equivalent, which can be electricity in kilowatt hour, and so on. But it should be a single unit. Okay, so if you are calculating air conditioning, it should be in kilowatt hour, heating load in kilowatt hour, and so on. In some type of buildings in certain climatic zones, the lighting load might be greater than either heating or cooling load. So take an example of Cherrapunji. So there is a constant climate, there is a rainfall is there, and so you see that the natural light or sunlight is very difficult at that place. So their lighting load can be maximum. So you know what is the summary of this introduction, that in the buildings can have different types of load. It can be lighting, it can be heating, it can be cooling, it can be domestic water heating, and so on. One has to consider that what will be the total energy use of that building and what is the primary or predominant share of a particular setup. Okay, so industrial and commercial buildings are dissimilar in terms of energy use, as industries primarily use large quantities of energy for specialized purposes or processes, whereas buildings use the major amount of energy for human comfort. So industrial and commercial building, what I talked about, the stadium uses lighting load will be higher in a stadium as compared to cooling load in human comfort or a residential building. It is difficult to generalize energy used by type of building because there are many variables that determine the energy used in a particular building. Is it okay? Definition of building. Building means any structure or erection or part of structure or erection after the rules relating to energy conservation building codes have been notified under clause of section 14 and clause of 15. And so there is a energy conservation building code 2017. In short, it is called as ECBC. Energy Conservation Building Code 2017. It is a bylaws for buildings. Okay, and in that section 14 and 15 talks about any existing structure or erection of part of structure which is having a connected load of 100 kilowatt or contract demand of 120 kilovolt ampere kVA and above, and is used or intended to be used for commercial purposes, that will be called as a building. Okay, so a commercial building, a residential building, school, hospital, or any gram panchayat or any structure which is having a connected load of 100 kilowatt or contract demand of 120 kVA and it is used or intended to be used as commercial purpose can be called as a building. Okay, why we are saying this? You can do analysis of whatever we are going to discuss today in our lecture. You can do this kind of analysis to any kind of building. It can be a straw hut, it can be a Siporix brick wall house or red brick house or a Kokan tiled house. Okay, or it can be a slab house, it can be a multi-story building, it can be a single-story building, and so on. Having a basement, having garden, having landscape, each and every building can be analyzed as a green building. Okay, so energy conservation in building is applied to only those buildings which are having a connected load of 100 kilowatt. So why we are saying this? This is defined by the BEE. So BEE says that energy conservation in buildings can be applied to a building which is having 100 kilowatt of connected load or 120 kilovolt of kVA of contract demand. Okay, it's not that you cannot do energy conservation in other type of buildings, but BEE has targeted only such type of buildings in which connected load is 100 kilowatt. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Energy Conservation Building Code defines the minimum energy efficiency standards for design and construction of commercial buildings to encourage energy efficient design or major retrofit of buildings without any compromise with the building function, comfort, health, or the productivity of the occupants. So take an example of school or our college. Our college, so ECBC defines the minimum energy efficiency standards for the design and construction of commercial building. That means in order, so if I'm having if I want to set up a school at some place in India, you see that India is divided into so many zones. So you see this red color zone is called as hot, dry. Yellow color, this orange color portion with dotted granules is called as warm, humid. whereas orange color without any granules are called as composite. Okay, so and temperate zone. This portion is called as temperate zone of some part of Karnataka. Temperate zone. There are some hilly areas, Western Ghats, Mahabaleshwar in Maharashtra. Okay, some part of this Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, right? So this is called as a cold zone. So each and every zone will have their own standards, efficiency standards to be defined as a energy conservation building or energy efficient design. So this ECBC involves design and construction of commercial buildings. Okay, or it also involves major retrofit of buildings. Retrofit means changeover. So if your building you have already manufactured, already designed, already uh, is meant for occupants, then major retrofit is involved in that building to be considered to be energy efficient, which is following the energy conservation building code without any compromise with the building function. So my building function is to supply this much type of cooling load. I will not compromise on that, but I will purchase or retrofit inefficient equipments which are there in the existing building. Example, I am having air conditioners, okay, in my auditorium, which are inefficient. By calculation, I came to know that my energy efficiency or energy performance index is very low. So what is causing this energy performance index to be low is that air conditioners. So I will retrofit those air conditioners. Okay, I will retrofit those air conditioners and I will buy some new energy efficient air conditioners so that my EPI, energy performance index, increases and my building will be called as energy efficient building. Is it okay? So that is called as compliance approach. Compliance means the whatever I am purchasing or whatever I am practicing in my commercial building is as per the rules specified by ECBC. That is called as compliance approach. Okay. So there are some mandatory provisions and there are some principles. That means there are some essential parameters and there are some mandatory or not mandatory parameters. So mandatory and non-mandatory. So just to consider that in order to implement ECBC across the country, India has to be divided into these 5 climatic zones. Okay, and ECBC considers code for those zones. So it can be separate for separate zones. At some places like Jammu and Kashmir, Sikkim or cold places, major contribution will be for serving hot water requirement. So there the code will be stringent for hot water system. Whereas in Rajasthan or hot dry zone, the code will be stringent for air conditioning system. Similarly for warm and humid zone in major part of India. Okay, some part will be subjected to interior and exterior lighting. Some part will be subjected to electrical powers and motors. Okay, so the ECBC code will not apply to buildings that do not use either electricity or fossil fuel. If the building is not using any electricity or fossil fuel, then ECBC will not apply. ECBC will also not apply to those buildings or portions of building where the primary energy supply is for manufacturing process. That means if my industry is a manufacturing process industry, any electricity which is used for manufacturing process, that will not be considered under ECBC. Okay, so this you have to understand. Right. Moving further, we before we go for green building, So I told you that ECBC do not comply with the buildings which do not use either electricity or fossil fuel, and such type of building is called as net zero building. Net zero building, or we can say energy net zero energy building. That means it is not consuming energy, not it is supplying energy. So net zero energy building can be also called as a green building, whose energy consumption is very low, can be considered as green building. But there are several parameters or principles under which the green building can be defined. So before we go into it, just ECBC is clear to you. So in order to evaluate the performance of a building by ECBC, there are two methods. One is a prescriptive method and the other is whole building performance method. So prescriptive method specifies only trade-off between energy, the efficiency of one envelope element with another to achieve overall efficiency required. That means a building envelope consists of doors, windows, walls, inside space, outside space, and fence. So doors, windows can be called as fenestrations. So in a prescriptive method, if the building envelope is targeting only fenestration and calculating the efficiency without compromising the occupancy level or human comfort, then it is called as a prescriptive method. So in prescriptive method, only one part is targeted, like say fenestration. So it will target only doors and windows and infiltration by cracks or ventilation and thereof. Whereas in a whole building performance method, there is a simulation software used which shows ECBC compliance via whole building. So energy simulation is a computer-based process that helps building owners and designers to evaluate the performance of building, and it will consider an entire part of the building. That means it will also consider the shading caused by adjoining building on that building. Shading caused by adjoining building. So you must have seen the global city of Virar, Agarwal Residency, the Paramount Builders in Virar. So you see that now the buildings are being designed by taking into consideration the whole building performance method. That means it will consider building geometry, orientation, building material, building facade design, climate, indoor environment conditions, occupant activities, schedules, HVAC, lighting, all these parameters are considered together, and the performance of the building, energy performance of the building is calculated. So computer simulation models are available, softwares are available, in which you just have to feed in the value and you see how much energy it will consume, or what will be the energy performance index of that building. You got the idea? So it is up to you that you can follow prescriptive method or you can follow whole building approach method. So this is all about ECBC. So ECBC, there are some guidelines for building envelope. Okay, for the passive solar design strategy, siting and orientation, shade, cross ventilation, cool roof system. Okay, so what is cool roof, by the way? What is cool roof? So you see, whenever you put some roof on the building, that roof will, some part of the solar energy will be absorbed, some part of it will be reflected, and some part of it will be transmitted. Okay, so the cool roof is nothing but it is a surface which have higher solar reflectance as well as higher emittance. That means the roof will not allow heat to be transmitted inside. There are cool roof available Okay, which will not only it will reflect the solar radiation, but it will also give high emittance. That means it will reject heat back to the surrounding. Okay, thereby cooling the inside surface cool, inside space or inside building envelope cool. So there are simulation models available. You can run a small ANSYS model for that. You design a 2D uh, 2D cutout of your house. Show that this existing roof you can give the properties. Properties will be available from the manufacturer. Let us say Asian Paint will provide you. Then you replace that roof with cool roof. So cool roof properties will be available. Just replace and see what will be the inside temperature after 5 hours of that constant solar radiation is there. You can also give the direction of solar radiation. That means from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. what is the movement of the sun. So accordingly your radiation will change. Beam radiation will change. And you see what happens after these 5 hours. What will be the inside temperature gain of the room. This small simulation you can do and see what is the effect of cool roof. So cool roof is one of the parameter. Then thermal emittance is another parameter. Then solar heat gain coefficient is there. Visible light transmittance is there to be measured. Okay, so visible light transmittance is nothing but it is related to your windows. Visible portion of the solar spectrum. So visible part of your solar spectrum will come from windows. So you must have seen that windows are of different shapes, sizes, and material. Also texture. So visible light transmittance is a very important parameter for daylighting. It has a U value. Okay, normally a U value of 3.3 watt per meter square degree Celsius is considered to be a good value. But what is the solar heat gain from that point? What is the visible light transmitted? Is it 1? If it is 1, that means it is a transparent window. If it is less than 1, it is a hazy kind of structure which will not allow direct solar radiation to enter into the house but diffuse sunlight. So more you go towards 0, it will not allow the sunlight to pass. So it is a compromise between solar heat gain and solar and visible light transmitted. It is a compromise between what? Solar heat gain and visible light transmitted. Okay. So if you allow more solar heat gain, the room will become hot. If you allow more light to get in, then your light, that daylight saving will be there. Okay. Then comes fenestration, skylight. So now the new concept of skylight is also there. There is a new concept being designed by scientists, which will allow. So there is a. Have you seen fiberglass? Fiberglass. What is a fiberglass, by the way? Anybody have heard this term called as fiberglass? FRP is fiber reinforced plastic, not that. Fiberglass or glass fiber. Glass fiber.
So the material used in specs.
It is basically used in optical fiber network. Optical fiber. So optical fibers is a tube-like structure in which optical fiber is a tube-like structure in which if you put a light from one end, internal reflections are made. Internal reflections are made, and if you twist the fiber, even though the light will be reaching at the other end. light will reach at the other end with some losses. So you see, if your terrace has this kind of tubing, and those tubings are being supplied in the form of wires, cables to your house, and that will have its opening in the room. So if your room is a dark lit room, at that portion, if you insert this type of technology, you will get the light at that point, natural light, and kind of a 9 watt. It can normally replace a 9 watt of LED light. Okay, so this technology is available. I will share it in our group, that kind of video. I will share it to the group so that you will appreciate what I mean to say. Okay, right. Moving further, then we come to part called as green building. So a green building is a building that in its design, construction or operation reduces or eliminates negative impact and can create positive impacts on our climate and natural environment. Green buildings preserve precious natural resources and improve our quality of life. This is called as a green building. So now I want you to imagine your house or your building in which you stay. How many of you stay in row house? Anybody staying in row house or independent house, bungalow? Anyone staying in bungalow, independent house, or has some independent bungalow in their native place, so that we will be able to
Yes, sir.
compare? Yes. So yes, we will be able to compare between an independent house and a building flat system. Okay, right. So you see that whether your efficient use of energy, water and other resources is done by your building, whether you use renewable energy such as solar energy, pollution and waste reduction measures, and the enabling of reuse and recycling, good indoor environmental air quality, use of materials that are non-toxic, ethical and sustainable, consideration of environment in design, construction and operation, consideration of the quality of life of occupants in design, construction and operation, a design that enables adaptation to the changing environment. If all these points are covered in your building, then your building can be called as green building. Now these are very general points. Okay, general points in which you cannot decide what parameter or what level your building is green. So for that, ASSOCHAM, GEM, so Green ASSOCHAM has designed or put some principles in which you can then find out on your own that whether your building is green building or not. So there is an Indian Green Building Council in which there are panels of architects, building planners, engineers like us who are certified professional. So I am one of them. So I am a certified green energy professional certified by Green ASSOCHAM, which can help you design your own green building. Okay, so what you have to look for? You have to look for, there are 30 principles. We will discuss one by one and in details in coming 10 minutes. So you see there are some 5 essential principles. So the first 5 principles are essential principles that this has to be there for a building. Okay, so you see there should be a government approved plan. That means your Satbara should be clear title, government approved plans. There should be some fire and life safety in sustainable building. So the building should consider fire and life safety measures in their building. So if you are staying in a residential complex, there should be some gathering point, there should be some refuge area, there should be some fire and safety guidelines being done by the building. There should be training to people given. Training should be given to some group of people that if there is a life safety measure in your building, life safety threat in your building, then those group of people will come further and they will follow the firefighting procedures. Okay. Third principle says that the construction management best practices. That means whether your building has followed construction management principles. That means the landscape area, gardening, whether it is 50%, whether there is a local flora and fauna, and so on. Whether there is a parking for building occupants. Parking is mandatory now. Essential part of green building. That there should be parking, whether top ground or underground. Okay. Propagating passive design strategies. That means promoting the use of daylight saving, natural ventilation, and natural lighting. Okay, it should be shade free. What is the distance between the two buildings that is being specified by Green Building Council and the ECBC. So that is to be followed. Then landscape best practices. Now landscape best practices says that 40% of the area should be covered under the landscape, and in that landscape there should be some local native flowers, native local plants to be planted by the building. It should not be exotic coming from outside the country and then you put the gardening. No, it's not like that. 70% should be local plants. Preserve the tree on sites means for construction purpose. If you are cutting some trees, so for every one tree cut, there should be 3 plants being planted and nurtured. It's not like that you put a plant in Suruchi beach, you click some photographs and go away. It's not like that. Planting trees means you have to plant the tree and you have to look after that tree for 5 years. If you do that, then it can be considered as a tree plantation activity. Normally what people do, tree plantation drive means what? Plant the tree and go away. But actual tree plantation is nothing but for every one tree you have to, if you cut, for that as a compensation you have to plant a tree, look after it for 3 years, and then you can go for cutting one tree. So if you want to cut the tree today, before 3 years you must have planted one tree, nurtured it for 3 years, and then you can cut one tree. Is it okay? Principle 8 talks about high albedo materials, roof and non-roof. Here comes the concept of cool roof from ECBC. High albedo materials. Albedo is nothing but the surrounding area by which the sun is reflecting its energy. Okay. So what is the meaning of albedo? Anybody hearing this term for the first time? Anybody?
Yes, sir, for the first time.
Okay, so I will tell you that this albedo is a measure of how much radiation that hits a surface is reflected without being absorbed. Albedo is nothing but it is the measure of how much radiation hits the surface is reflected without being absorbed. Is called as albedo. Right? So we have to use high albedo material. Can you tell me any high albedo material?
Sir, is it that one that right now one person has patented that 99.99% it reflects?
Yes, there are several materials available. Several materials
Okay.
available. If it is patented technology, you can go for it. There are some high albedo paints available. So even though surface has low albedo or it is absorbing all the radiation, you can paint it with that particular paint, and there are challenges made by these companies, the paint providing companies, that you can walk on that floor barefoot, no problem with that. So lot of temples, worship places, which is open to air, and there the pilgrims which are visiting has to walk barefoot, and they cannot walk barefoot on that floor. They paint this floor with this paint, which is having high albedo, which will have very low temperature. You can walk barefoot directly. Ganpati Pule, if you visit, the material is being tested and painted on the floor. Ganpati Pule in Ratnagiri. Okay, right. And there are natural. You should not go for patent also. There are natural materials available. Take a consideration of cow dung. If you put cow dung on floor and if you walk on it, there will be no heat you will feel on your feet. So there is a purpose in native places. It is त्याला सारवणे म्हणतात, सारवणे, cow dung. Okay. Right. Next one is rainwater harvesting. Everyone is now familiar with this. I will not discuss this rainwater harvesting. But one point I would like to tell that everyone should not go for rainwater harvesting. Why? If you take a consideration of Mumbai, there were natural wells. Natural wells in Mumbai. You search on Google. Natural wells in Mumbai. And if time permits, or if you are more curious, find that place and go to that place. You will find no well over there. Why? Because there were natural wells available which can supply water to each and every corner of Mumbai. But this builder lobby has all vanished those wells, filled with debris, purposely. Okay, so rainwater harvesting, I would like to make one point is, if your groundwater level is not capable enough of holding that water, we call it as natural aquifer. If natural aquifer is high, then their rainwater harvesting must not be there. But now you see, RERA has made it mandatory for building to provide rainwater harvesting. But my point is, if the groundwater is not capable of holding that rainwater, if there is a runoff is there. If you put some water into the aquifer, it will run off to the river and run off to the sea. Then there is no point in putting the rainwater harvesting system over there. Rainwater harvesting system is put where the groundwater level is low. There rainwater harvesting is effective. You are understanding what I am saying? Okay. Then principle number 10 is install low flow water fixtures. So there is a fixed value, that is 6.5 liter per minute should be the flush rate in your toilets, in your bathrooms. If you have a tap and bucket below it, there is no such norms. It is not applicable. So low flow water fixtures are there for toiletries, for kitchen sink, for hand sink, wash basins. There is a prescribed level of water flow. लेकिन आप देखो किधर भी जाएंगे, you look at theaters, you look at railway stations. What is the flow rate? Some places you find very low flow rate, or some places you find very high flow rate. But this is given in the ECBC code that you have to install 6.5 liter per minute flush rate in your toilets, in your kitchen sink, in your wash basin. Principle 11 talks about on-site treatment of grey and black water and reuse for flushing. This is called as sewage water treatment. Sewage water treatment. Grey water means your toilet water, and black water means your soap. Grey water means your bathroom, and black water means your soil. That means the toilet water. Okay. So the Wastewater coming from kitchen and bathroom is called as grey water, whereas it is coming from toilet, it is called as black water, brackish water. So there are some sewage treatment plants which will purify the water, and this water can be used for gardening purpose. So our college, we can install this sewage water treatment plant. Okay. Irrigation best practices. There should be sprinklers, lowers, drip irrigation for the gardening purpose. This water from treated water can be used for irrigation purpose. If I ask you, what is the best time to water the plants in the garden? What is the best time to water the plants in the garden?
Evening and morning.
Yes, not morning, but evening time. Evening 6 o'clock or evening 5 to 6 is the good time to water the plants. Why? Because water evaporation rate is low at night. Also, you have time of day tariff, if you remember. Evening time, the rate of electricity is low, so you can go for evening time water irrigation.
Sir,
Okay.
even the
Yes.
power factor.
Yes, that will also come into consideration. So peak time is morning time. You should avoid watering the plants in morning if you are using pump for watering. Okay, normal gardening water you can use it, no problem. Manual watering. But if you are using sprinklers or pumps for watering the garden, then evening time should be preferred. So you suggest in your building, if the gardening is taking place in morning, watering is taking place in morning, you suggest them. And if you suggest, and if it is implemented, get it on the letterhead of the building that because of this practice, we are saving this much amount of money, and you share it with our group in classroom. Okay, you will do it.
Yes, sir.
Right. So the next principle is measurement of energy and water consumption. Very high value for this. Measurement of energy is energy auditing, and water consumption is water audit. Okay, that is our entire subject is related to this principle of measurement of energy. It is energy auditing, by the way. Okay. Post occupancy waste management, on-site conversion of organic waste, amenities for fundamental needs and daily commute, then best practices for universal building design, reduce exposure to volatile matter. Okay. So no use of halogenated hydrocarbons in air conditioners, sustainable development for construction engineering, use of fly ash, then cement, right? So there are two types of cements available. Okay, pozzolana cement and the other type of cement. So in which the fly ash content is higher, that cement must be used for construction purpose. Then local sourcing of construction material. The construction material should come from 500-kilometer area. If it is coming from outside, then it is not eligible for consideration as green building. Judicious use of hardwood and softwood. So your door frames should not be made of wood. It should be made of softwood. That means naturally occurring wood. It should not be of very exotic wood kind of thing. Also your furniture should be used of MDF. Okay, medium density foam. Hardboard. Okay, hardwood. Then next one, energy management best practices, efficient electric equipment and system, use of imperishable energy resources means solar energy, wind energy, optimal use of natural light, healthy indoor air quality. So this healthy indoor air quality can be maintained by not by purchasing air purifiers, okay, but by planting some indoor trees which give you natural oxygen. Okay, so I will suggest that you must not buy these equipments were not there in our times. air purifiers. What is the need of air purifier? If you have efficient or the natural plants available, which will give you a good indoor air quality. Okay, so there is a value that this much indoor air quality should be maintained throughout the building. Training and capacity building of project team, then activities for corporate, and if you have some extra point by which you can go for this green building concept. So these are the 30 principles by which if you apply and use it, then your building will be called as a green building. Okay. Now LEED rating is remaining. Okay. So we will continue this LEED rating in next lecture. Now just I will put this platform to you to ask some questions related to today's session.